Welcome back to Bay Area TV Bowling. We are here in our first match of the men's semifinals featuring Steve Ding of San Jose, California and Scott Hill of Brazil, Indiana. Steve has elected to start on lane 24. Welcome back to Bay Area TV Bowling. We are here with our first match of the men's semifinals between Scott Hill of Brazil, Indiana and Steve Ding of San Jose, California. Scott is up on his first shot on 23 and he leaves a bucket.
Scott Hill, our number 3 qualifier today in the men's division. Started off here in our semifinal match of the men's. He needs to make a little bit of an adjustment to the right to convert the 2-4-5-8, affectionately known as the bucket. And he covers it. So Scott with a spare through the first frame.
Steve Ding is now up on lane 24. Steve is 26 years old. He has been bowling for 10 years. He has a high game of 300. And in fact, he actually shot one today in qualifying.
Yes, he did. The very last game of our first round of qualifying.
And he moved up to qualifying leader with that game. Steve up now on his first shot. And he leaves a 4-pin.
A little bit light. Didn't quite get the break he wanted, either with the ball or with the pins. He's faced with the 4-pin spare. He'll make an adjustment to the right. Let the ball hook over there. Right on it. We're all even through one.
We're here today at AMF Fiesta Lanes. This is our first event of many to follow. We have some of the top male bowlers from the Bay Area battling out today for the right to compete in our finals. Steve was our number 2 qualifier. Up in the second frame.
Switch balls there. A little bit more texture maybe.
Is he gonna get it? Oh.
Okay, close again. The familiar 10-pin. Steve looks like he's switching to a very hard ball, which will cut down on all the hook and roll. Pretty much just go straight at it. Looks good.
And he converts the spare.
He smiles. The hard part's out of the way. 2 spares for Mr. Ding to start the match. Here once again we have Scott Hill. Lists his hometown as Brazil, Indiana, which is quite a ways from here in San Jose. Once again, the bucket.
Now, what would you do here, Dave? This is the second straight time he has left the bucket. Would you switch balls, make an adjustment?
Maybe a little bit of jitters, just getting out of the blocks here for both bowlers. You'll want to concentrate and make a spare, nice and hard and straight. He'd actually, looks like he might have come up on that a little bit. With an open, Scott is now 15 pins behind in the match. I spoke with Scott right before we went on air today. Lists his hometown as Brazil, Indiana. Said he's been to San Jose just for the last 2 weeks. He's moved here for his job, and we'd like to welcome him to the Bay Area.
Scott,
that looks good. There we go.
Very nice. Shred the rack.
There we go.
Steve Ding now up in the 3rd frame. Some of Steve's goals are, he said he wants to win the high roller, which I think he is leaving for tomorrow in Las Vegas.
High roller hosted by the Showboat Hotel in Las Vegas. Probably the main scratch tournament for bowlers in the United States, featuring a first prize of $100,000. We wish Steve good luck there. Steve comes through with a strike in the third frame, maintaining his 15-pin lead. Got a favorable result from the red ball that he's using now. Looks like it might have a little bit more texture, might handle the oil or conditioner that's applied to the lanes. Steve sets himself. Nice solid follow through and a good result.
Very smooth bowler. Scott up now in the fourth frame, looking to double.
Scott today qualified with a 225 average. Definitely good shooting there. There he comes through with a strike. Light hit carries for him. Scott 15 pins down in the match. Once again, our format here today was 6 games of qualifying, followed by 6 games of head-to-head match play, leading up to our top 3 Stepladder Finals here for the men. Scott in the 5th. A little bit high, gets a break, knocks out the 7 pin. Leaves only the 6-10. Fairly easy spare for him to make. He'll make an adjustment to the left side of the approach. Go with a little straighter angles. Nice and hard. He covers it.
Very nice.
Little sigh of relief there.
Steve Ding up now on lane 20. On lane 24. Steve looking to increase his lead.
Steve really bowled well today. Seemed to get a little bit better as the tournament went on.
Steve had a qualifying average of 235.
Didn't quite get up the hill, as they call it. Looking at the 258. A little more challenging spare here. He needs to cover the 5 pin and the 8 sleeper, as it's called. Steve will actually use a little bit more of his hook release to cover this, as opposed to going straight, which is more strategic for spares. He actually needs to hit the 2 pin on the right and have it drive through to get the pin in the back without chopping the 5. Let's see how he approaches it here. Looks good, and that's about the best way you can make it. Steve maintains a 14-pin lead through 5 frames.
Reading Steve's personal goals here, he says he wants to continue to be successful in all aspects of life.
Sounds good to me. Steve here sets himself slight crouch. Definitely uses his legs in his approach. Drives there at the end. Good break there. Trips the 4 pin. He likes the result. Little smile there. Scott up in the 6th. See how he approaches lane 24.
Very nice release.
It finishes nice. Strike in the 6th for Scott Hill. Former collegiate bowler at the Indiana State University. Scott was a fairly successful collegiate bowler, qualified for many of the all-tournament teams at the Indiana State University. Scott up in the 7th with a strike and cut the lead to 4 pins. A little bit. Look at that. The ball set right up for him. What they call a foul line adjustment. He wasn't sure of it when he let it go, but he held his shot. Good extension, good follow through. The ball stayed on line and carried a strike for him.
Steve up now in the 7th frame here. Looking to double.
See how he responds to Scott's double.
looks, oh, went high.
Out of trouble.
Do the lanes seem to be breaking down, Dave?
Steve looked a little puzzled after that one, like he expected it to hold the pocket when it actually came up high on him. Might have been a little bit soft on that one. Maybe try to help it, try to get the ball to roll up the pocket.
Steve goes hard and straight at the spare and converts.
There's that plastic ball coming into play there again. See a little bit more margin of error on a spare. A little bit left off the target on the spare, but the plastic ball will not hook away and actually maintains the line and knocks the 2 over for him. Steve now holding on to a 4-pin lead in the 8th frame here.
Looks good.
Looks good.
Very
Kicks
nice.
the 10 out. Good result.
Scott up now in the 8th frame.
Scott features a high game of 300. Perfect score. High 3-game series of 8-16 while maintaining a 228 average in league. See how the 27-year-old does in the 8th frame. He trips the 4 on a light hit. We have a match. Scott takes the 6-pin lead there with that strike. It's great to be here today. This event gives one of our best scratch bowlers in the area a chance at a little TV bowling. Not something that we've ever had here in the Bay Area, so this is great. Very exciting event. Scott comes through the strike in the 9th. Increases his lead to 16 pins. Crucial 9th frame there. What that does is that sets him up in the 10th. It's 4 strikes in a row through the 9th frame.
Steve here looking, if he punches out, looks for a possible 236 game. Steve used to be a member of the San Jose State bowling team. 4 years over there. Team captain for 2.
Breaks out the 2 pins on the right and is left with just the 4-7. Good break there. He's not real happy with the result there. He thought he made a good delivery. Like you said, Alex, maybe as the bowlers compete, what happens is the balls create so much friction that they actually break down the oil and the balls do start to hook a little bit earlier. And what they need to do is they need to make slight adjustments to the left with both their feet and their target to allow for that ball to hold the pocket.
Hold.
And it looks like that one got away from Steve. Ball hooks by the 4-pin and open in the 9th. That changes the complexion of the match there. Steve pretty much will need to throw 3 strikes in the 10th to put any kind of pressure on Scott.
Now, should he have used this plastic ball on that spare?
I think a little bit of the frustration got him there and maybe a little careless on the spare, and the ball did run away from him. Comes back with a strike in the first shot in the 10th.
Steve looking at a possible 204 game. If he strikes out.
Steve knows that the destiny is not in his hands right now. All he can do is try to fill up the 10th frame. Steve a possible 204. Scott with a possible 246.
Trips the 4 on that one. Gets a break.
Can't always get the breaks when you want them, but Steve comes through there with a nice hit. Trips the 4 out on a slightly high hit. Shaking his head. Oh, so close. The one that got away in the 9th. Steve qualified today with a 227.9 average. His game here will be 203. Steve will finish in 3rd place. Good for $100.
The winner of today's match will face Dave Houck of Castro Valley. He was our top qualifier.
Scott pretty much just needs to hit the head pin, which he definitely does that. He comes with a strike. Scott Hill, our winner of our men's semifinal match. Scott working on a possible 246. Very respectable score. Looks good. A little bit light. Just a little bit. He might have made a slight adjustment there to see what might help him in the next match. Ball came up a little bit light. With his spare of the 245, Scott will have 229. Scott's ball should be right back. Looks like we had a minor technical difficulty here. 27-year-old Scott has been bowling for 20 of those 27 years. He lists as his goals to still be competitive in bowling when he gets old. And I think he's got a long way to go before he gets old.
It also says there that he wants to become rich.
Ah, yes. Maybe move to our Bay Area here to tap into our land of riches that we have here currently. Scott's still waiting for his ball, having a little bit of a laugh. There we have a good view of the AMF Fiesta Lanes facility here. Beautiful facility featuring 40 lanes right here in downtown San Jose, California. I mentioned before, and here we have a ball for Scott. I mentioned before, Bay Area TV Bowling, our first event. Scott covers that spare, 229 for Scott Hill. Our winner of this men's semifinal match, Scott will be advancing to face Dave Houck of Castro Valley, California.
You wouldn't throw away valuable things like these. So why throw away money when you buy groceries? A family of 4 can save $1,000 a year by buying reusable products like rechargeable batteries and cloth towels and avoiding disposable products like razors, paper plates, and styrofoam cups. Save money and the environment, too.
Resurfacing lanes begins with cutting of the lane surface. Large sanding machines that you sit in with 24 and 36 grit paper cut the lane so it's nice and smooth and even, taking out a lot of the divots and valleys that arise from bowling on the lane. The pounding that the wood takes after years and years of use must be taken out in this method. Next up is the belt sanders. These are very large machines that use 60 grit, then 100 grit in smoothing off the lane surface. Precise care is taken on making sure that the lanes are level from front to back as well as side to side. Several passes may be needed to make sure that the lane is within ABC specifications. Once the lane has been cut, several other preparations must be made before the lane is coated with the urethane coat. Patching might be required to take out any boards that are loose or cracked. This is done by removing the damaged board and replacing it with another one. Boards are glued into place, then sanded off so it is level with the lane surface. Many times while resurfacing a lane, a nail will be revealed. They must be removed or it'll cause serious damage to bowling equipment. Once a nail is removed, the hole that is left must be filled and smoothed off, thus creating a nice, even playing surface. In addition to the lane being resurfaced, the approach must also be sanded down and smoothed out. This is done with a drum sander with 80 grit sandpaper, and then a roto buffer with 100 grit sandpaper. This is to ensure a nice smooth approach area for the bowlers. Once a lane has been cut and sanded level, and all the holes and gaps and patching has been done, a roto buffer seals the pores of the wood, preparing it for the application of the urethane coating. Each lane requires 1 quart of finish. Cans of the urethane finish must be stirred and mixed to provide for a smooth application on the lane. It is applied starting at the pin deck and then dragged all the way back to the foul line. As you work down the lane, additional finish is required to create a nice even coat. Once you've reached the foul line, the device is cleaned and prepared for the next lane. The process then starts all over again. A squeegee helps to apply the water-based finish to the approach. Special care is taken to make sure that it is applied smoothly and in the proper direction. Once the first coat has dried on the lane, a second coat is required. This is the actual finish that the bowlers bowl on. Before the resurfacing began, the pin decks were lowered so that they would not be damaged during the sanding. Once the final base coat has dried, the head mechanic must now go back and raise all the pin decks back to their proper levels. He must make sure that the pin deck is even with the lane and level from side to side and front to back. This is a very meticulous and painstaking task that requires a lot of patience. Each pin deck has 4 bolts underneath that hold it up. These must be adjusted accordingly on which side is low or which side is high. After all the work has been done, a nice smooth lane surface is now ready for you to play on.
Welcome back to Bay Area TV Bowling, the men's championship match. Today here at AMF Fiesta Lanes. Our match features Scott Hill, our number 3 qualifier, taking on Dave Houck of Castro Valley, California. Scott up on lane 23 in the first. Ball creeps up a little bit high.
Now, is Scott at an advantage here since he's already previously bowled a match? Coming in, already warm.
Scott would have a slight advantage coming in. Scott defeated Steve Ding in our semifinal match. 229 to 203. Scott with a spare in the first.
We now take our first look at Dave Houck of Castro Valley, age 38 years old. He's been bowling for 28 years, has a high game of 300, high series of 803. His goal is to win a PBA regional and win today.
Oh, Dave up on the right-hand lane. 4-9 split, the ball creeping up just a little bit high, getting a bad break. Dave took a little bit different approach to the lanes than what we've seen. A little bit farther left, a little bit slower ball speed. A little bit more to the right and back into the pocket. That one creeped up a little bit high. Dave takes just the 4-pin. Has 9 through the first. Let's see here, Dave trying to get comfortable on the pair. Left-hand lane doesn't quite have the finish of the right-hand lane. Medium speed there. And that one finishes light. Carries a 7-pin last.
Very nice.
Dave with a strike in the second.
Dave, actually, in the last game of our match play, beat out Steve Ding 247 to 222 to pass Steve by 2 sticks to be our top qualifier.
Snuck in there. Now here he is in the championship. Scott in lane
Wow,
frame
very
2
nice.
comes through with a strike.
Scott seems very confident right now.
11-pin lead. He might have backed down on the ball speed a little bit from his first match to allow the ball to finish.
Maybe a little bit of first game jitters.
True. A little bit of adrenaline. He got through that.
Seems more calm and relaxed now. Today's payout will be $300 for first place. Our second place winner will receive $200.
Scott looking at the 10-pin on that left-hand lane. There's that little tricky adjustment there on the left-hand lane. Ball comes up a little bit high. You make the move to the left to compensate for that. Doesn't quite finish to carry the 10. Far to the left for the spare. Hard and straight. And the ball actually slips off to the right. An error there for Scott in the third. Dave up quickly on the right-hand lane for his third frame.
Now this is when you need to like attack, right? Be maybe a
Exactly.
little aggressive.
Exactly. Dave will have to make the adjustments from his 4-9 split. Good shot, hit the pocket. A little bit more to the left. And, yeah, look at that.
Very nice.
Perfect. With that shot, Dave takes an 11-pin lead. Those open frames can make the match change very quick. Dave wiping the conditioner off his ball.
Some of Dave's bowling achievements is he finished 6th last year, actually here at Fiesta Lanes in a PBA regional tournament.
Very good.
He also has 3 PBA 300 games. Very impressive.
Dave on the left lane in the fourth.
Came
Ball
back.
finishes and gets a great break.
Seems like the lanes have opened up now, and the players have more area to the right. They don't have to be as perfect.
Correct. Dave may be the one that's more suited to take advantage of that. Scott up in the fourth.
Very nice little
10-pin. Good shot for Scott. The 6-pin jumping around the 10 there. Not getting the break he wanted.
Looking at some of Scott's bowling achievements, he has shot 22 300 games. Very impressive.
Very
And
nice.
800 series.
Scott with a spare in the fourth. Trails by 21.
Dave today was our top seed. He had a qualifying average of 228.83.
Scott in the fifth now on the left-hand lane. Breaks out a split. Left with just the 4-7. You can see a little bit of confusion there on Scott's face. Didn't get the result that he wanted after making the adjustment required.
Do you think Scott needs to jump in like Dave is?
Scott's more of a traditional bowler with a down and in style. And unfortunately, they might have got away from him there. Caught the conditioner and slid by the 4-7. Scott was 74 through the fifth frame. Maybe he has the time now. He can regroup himself, get himself set. Pretty much go for broke. Now Dave up in the right-hand lane in the fifth frame. See if he can build on his 3 strikes.
There
Give
we
it
go.
plenty of room. Ball
Oh.
comes up and carries out the 4-5-7. Dave now with 4 consecutive strikes.
He cashed last week in the ABC Masters tournament that was going on.
Tournament that features both amateurs and professionals. That's a good showing for Dave. Dave now maintaining a 35-pin lead through 5 frames. Working on 4 consecutive strikes. See what he can do here. It's coming. Oh, a little bit high. The light hit had been his friend. Ball finished a little bit sooner this time, hooked up a little bit high. Dave switching to a ball with a little less friction, a little easier to control for his 4-pin spare. Goes pretty flat, hard and straight at it.
And
Makes the
converts.
4-pin.
Scott now up in the 6th frame. And what do you think he needs to do here? Just make a nice.
Scott's style is probably going to be a speed adjustment. You may really need to just kind of go for broke here. It's a good shot. Kicks the 10 out. Good result. Pretty much got to just set himself up and pour all the faith he has in it and make a good shot. Scott now down by 44 pins after 6 frames. The tricky left lane now in the 7th. Good long stroke there, and the ball holds. Nice firm shot there by Scott. Double now, 6th and 7th. Cuts the lead to 34 pins.
Dave now up in the 7th frame.
Working on a spare. Smooth delivery, ball's coming. Oh, got a good break there, knocking the 10 out. Ball finishing just a little bit late. Dave might have been a little bit quick with his speed there than he wanted. But not faced with trouble here, looking at the 7-pin spare. Once again, takes a little bit of his wrist and out of the delivery there, which basically flattens it out. Covers the 7.
Now in a match like this, you can't let the adrenaline get to you, right, Dave?
No, you want to be pumped up enough to make a good shot. You don't want it to be out of control. Dave here is in the driver's seat with a 33-pin lead through 7 frames. A little bit soft there. Dave puts his hands out to say thanks as the 7-pin falls out. Faced with just the 6-10 spare. Switching balls once again. He'll move to the left. Pretty much go with a flat wrist delivery. Right at it. Makes the spare. Dave now with 155 through 7 frames with a spare in the 8th.
Scott now up in the 8th frame. Looking to mount a comeback.
Working on 2 strikes.
Very good.
Oh, the 10-pin. Ball losing just a little bit of energy when it comes up and doesn't quite have the drive to finish to carry the 10-pin.
Now we've seen a lot of 10 pins left today. As a bowler, what do you do when things aren't going the way you want them to?
You can look at it a couple of different ways, and the best way would probably be that you're in the pocket. You definitely want to maintain your shot to the pocket. A lot of bowlers sometimes will go fishing around to try to find that line to carry, and what will happen is they'll actually lose the pocket. Scott's got to call what they say, grind it out. Got a couple strikes. Stay in the pocket, stay firm with his delivery like that right there.
Very nice.
A strike in the 9th, the critical 9th. He sets up the 10th for himself. 143 through 8, strike in the 9th. We see Dave Houck here in the 9th, pretty much controls his own destiny.
He can shoot a possible 235 game. Scott can shoot 203.
Dave was to fill spares in the 9th and 10th. He will be our champion. And actually, not a bad strategy there. Maybe not comfortable with his other ball. He switches to his spare ball.
Yeah.
Goes a little bit straighter. Breaks out a split. Leaves just the 6-10. Dave made an adjustment there to compensate for the increase in hook that he was receiving, getting from his other ball. Hard and straight at the 6-10, he covers it. Spare through 9. Dave maintaining a 30-pin lead.
It's looking at a possible 223 game.
Basically what he needs to do here, Dave needs a mark.
And then he would be our first Bay Area TV bowling champion.
That's right. Staying with the hard bowl. Probably made a slight adjustment back to the right on the approach and just keep that pocket, keep the ball in the pocket. How's that look?
That looks good.
Here it comes. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Our champion, Dave Houck. Nice adjustment there in the 10th. Dave will take home $300 today for his victory. Back to Castro Valley with him. Dave here to finish it out. Possible 223. Goes back and says, let's see what the hook and ball got. And he comes through with another strike.
As I mentioned earlier, his goal was to win today.
And he has accomplished that. Dave snuck in the door, like we said, grabbed our #1 qualifying spot, and has come away with the victory. Final delivery for Dave. Gives the ball plenty of room. Will it go?
No.
Finishes with 222. Dave Houck, your champion today. Scott Hill, our runner-up today, takes home $200.
Bowled very well throughout the whole day. Actually shot 240 to make the Stepladder final.
Yes, he did. He came through very big in our 6th final game of match play to get here. Scott, our runner-up, our new resident of San Jose, just 2 weeks. It's got a good way to start off his residence here in San Jose. All right, Scott with a spare in the 10th. Gets a nice hand from the fans here at AMF Fiesta Lanes in San Jose, California. Scott with a strike will finish with 183. Good delivery there and just shreds the pins. 183 for Scott Hill. And there you see him, our champion Dave Houck on the left, congratulated by Scott Hill. Good sportsmanship shown by both gentlemen. And we will be back with our champions right after this.